Welcome to the Barack Obama approved world's greatest podcast, Hyphen Nation. I am your host, Kellen Conley, aka B Hyphen, aka Awkward David Rose. Today's episode is a return to the classic Hyphen Nation form because me and Marc Rob, Marcus Show Mad Love Robinson, we got together after Rasslecast a few weeks ago and we were talking about the potential for Creed 3 and Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan, whether or not he can act. And we talked a lot about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what hasn't worked for us so far. And of course, Jonathan Majors is a big part of Creed 3. He's a big part of the MCU's next phase with being Kang. I didn't want to put this episode out without some kind of disclaimer because a few weeks ago, Jonathan Majors was arrested for assaulting a woman in New York City. He was arrested, released without bail. There was text messages that came out not that long ago kind of saying that the texts were essentially saying that, oh, it was kind of my fault that he did that, but there's been nothing dropped. Nothing has changed. Everything's kind of still up in the air. So because we believe women here at Hyphen Nation and at Hyphen Podcast Group, just want to do a little trigger warning in case anybody has been or is easily affected by, seeing the glorification of potential of alleged assault by people that we're talking about here. Obviously, we're talking about Jonathan Majors. I just wanted to say that in that event, you can skip this one, and that all of this was done prior to these allegations. So there may be a lot of praise for Jonathan Majors, but we in no way condone what he may have possibly done. And I just wanted to say that up front before we get into the episode proper. So appreciate y'all listening. And I'm going to just hand over to Marc Rob and me from the past. And we hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks, y'all.
Tomorrow I hit up Creed and IMAX.
I was literally just thinking about what I was going to tell you when I was going to go see Creed. So IMAX? Is that what you're doing?
They shot in IMAX.
Oh,
so I'm seeing it now. Yeah. So apparently the fight style is shot in like
anime influences.
Yeah, so
yeah, I just saw that this morning.
So I'm really curious to see how that looks in IMAX.
Hero said that he thought it worked. It worked for him. So
I think because I listened to the Sean Fantasy podcast, and they were like they didn't like it, but they don't watch anime,
right?
So they probably I don't want to sound like pretentious, but like to say that they don't get it. Like you like what you like. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Right.
But I'm really curious because I'm like envisioning Dragon Ball Z punches through the sternum. So but so I'm like really curious.
Jonathan Majors going
basically. So I'm kind of envisioning
lines. Yeah,
I'm envisioning like hyper aggressive, like overly dramatic body shots and like jabs and shit. So I don't think the story's gonna be any. I mean, if we looked at Rocky 3, we know what the story's gonna be. Right. So we can guess what the story's gonna be. So I'm just really trying to figure out if how Michael B direction is, and seeing how well Jonathan Majors does, and also to see like the fight choreography. Mm-hmm. So I'm knocking that Billy Bob out.
I might check it out next weekend because tomorrow I got an appointment to get my hair braided in the morning, and then I'm supposed to go hit up E's studio at some point to record the song I did over his beat. So besides that,
okay,
yeah. So beyond that, I don't expect there to be too much for that. And then Sunday, like I said, we got the meet, so we got to leave decent time because she competes in the afternoon, but her meets take like 3 hours. So I think she competes at like 1:30 or something. So by the time we're done, it'll be 5, and we got to drive back from Johnstown and then get home and get everything situated for the next week. So next weekend, I might just leave right out of work and change clothes and then head right to the movie theater, honestly, and go check it out. That sounds like a plan. Catch a matinee. Because you know how I feel about Creed 1. And Creed 2, it just felt like he was over angry the whole movie. I know it didn't have Coogler, but
Nah, yeah, Creed 2 wasn't that good.
I didn't
Like
think
the
so.
fighting, the fighting was it. But if you just watch the fighting, the training montage and the fight on YouTube, you've
You've seen the
watched
whole
Creed
movie.
2. So that's not a good thing.
He had like no range in that movie. He was literally just mad, like looked so mad and angry like the whole movie. That was like where he stayed. Like Adonis in the first movie, yeah, he had that chip, but then when he's with Bianca and then when him and Rocky's relationship were growing, like you could really tell that he was opening up and like he was being softer and everything like that. But the second movie is like he's just like I don't have Ryan. I'm just going to sit here and be like this and get my paycheck. And
I
it
mean, yeah,
really
because I mean
bugged me.
he also has Stallone to give to at least so people don't. It's so weird that people don't consider. Well, maybe it's not in the forefront of people's mind, but people don't consider Stallone a good actor. He's a pretty solid actor, and
Because they
especially
put him in the
I
action hero box, you know that.
I will legit say if you talk about like dramatic performances of his career, you can make the argument that was the best performance that of his entire career
Hmm.
in Creed 1. And you
Absolutely.
know how I feel about how I feel about Michael B. Jordan.
You're not a fan.
So it's not that I'm not a
A nigga
fan,
can't
but
act. You gonna say that and say you're not a fan?
hey man, hey. Master P couldn't act, but I got the hookup.
uh,
so, so I know how much time you have, but let's have the Michael B. Jordan conversation right
that
now. If
that's.
you want to do 10 minutes, we'll do 10 minutes real quick.
I say just go with it while we're in the moment.
Okay, so
Okay.
Michael B. Jordan, man, can the this is the bedrock question. Is Michael B. Jordan a good actor? That's the fundamental question of his career.
Okay.
So far, to me, it's not is Michael B. Jordan charismatic? It's not is he a decent hang when on screen? It's like none of that. Like the skill of acting,
Right.
like are you a good actor or not? I think that I know I live in the gray a lot, but I think the binary of are you a good actor, yes or no? And if you ask me, like the answer is just no. Like I think that his acting it doesn't feel really naturalistic. It doesn't feel in a lot of his performances, it doesn't feel naturalistic. It always feels as if he is either restrained in some way or he doesn't know how to fully be in the role. But the only exception to that, I will say, are certain parts of Black Panther.
Okay. Okay.
Now the thing is with Black Panther though, if you think about the list of all the actors in Black Panther, Forrest Whitaker, R.P. to the God, Angela Bassett,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we Lupita
Lupita.
Nyong'o,
Mm-hmm.
like he was in the midst and going against all these other incredible actors. You know, every person I named, Forrest, Chad, Angela, Lupita, can they act? It's not even a question. Absolutely, they can act.
Yes.
And so for him, I think in that role, it really did force him to elevate to this to another level. And for him, was it an amazing? Who was his dad? His dad in the movie, um, from This Is Us.
Right. I can see his
Uh,
face. Uh.
sure. Oh my God, Sheldon, not Sheldon. Um,
Hold on. Hold on. I'm almost there. Unless my Wi-Fi decides to be like, "What are you doing?" Sterling K. Brown.
Sterling K. Brown, yeah, Sheldon. Sterling K. Brown, yes. So even in that one scene with Sheldon K. Brown with him, Sheldon K. Brown is tap dancing on the brick. He is dancing around him in his acting skill, right? But the thing is, because he's around these other actors who are world class,
Or
there
bringing
is
him up
something
to
in
that
that
level.
performance that he did bring out
Mm-hmm.
that was a pretty solid performance. But everything else that he's been in, even and this may be blasphemous, but even like Fruitville, I understand the gravity of Fruitville and the story of Fruitville, but if you look at that movie outside of the end of Fruitville and you look at the the three-fourths of the movie before Oscar got killed, if you would ask me, is that like a great like, oh, he's going to be a star? I would have said I don't see it. Like flat out. Um, I don't really count The Wire because like he's so young.
He's very
He,
young.
he's a kid, so um, so I don't necessarily hold that against him, but it just always seems like it doesn't feel really natural. It feels like he's recalling lines to say the lines to the actor rather than being in the moment with them
Hmm.
and then just acting. Like I don't like even the idea of like improv. Like I don't feel like I don't think I've ever seen him really improv anything. Like I feel like he's going by what the director tells him, what's on the script, but he's not really putting himself into the role to become that actor.
Right.
Well, was that character, I should say.
Hmm.
So I think, I mean, and I don't think this movie's going to really change that, but I will say Jonathan Majors, because he is this extraordinary actor.
He's an actor.
Yeah, but I think you're going to see more from him way more than you see Michael B in this movie. And that's just a guess. This is some stuff I heard, but it's Michael B. It's Jonathan Majors. Like I think this is a great example, a great exercise. The movie. Have you seen the last Black Man in San Francisco?
No, I've not seen that movie. I know I read your
So
review of it, but I've not watched it.
so that was his first. That was his first film, and it wasn't even a major film. It was a super independent movie,
Hmm.
and the person that Michael B. Jordan was acting opposite of, we haven't heard from him since. Like that was that
That was
like
his only role.
and he was the star of the movie technically.
Dang.
But Michael B. Jordan was so good in that movie and so talented that you there was no way that you were not going to see Michael B. Jordan in the future.
Hmm.
Like that was that kind of performance. And he's acting with Danny Glover in that movie. He's acting with Tanisha Arnold in that movie. But the guy who was the actual star of the film, we haven't seen him since that movie came out. If you would have put, let's say we don't have Fruitville, let's say we don't have Creed. If you put Michael B. Jordan in Last Black Man in San Francisco as the lead, and you put Jonathan Majors and his character in the same string play out, I don't think you ever hear from Michael B. Jordan again.
Damn. Damn.
Like it's like, but again, is he handsome? Is he charismatic?
Yes.
Is he charming?
Yes.
Yeah, he has that.
He's got all
So
that.
I mean, so it's okay if someone's a face.
Yeah.
You know, like someone like Brad Pitt, like who who loves being a character actor and he's a face also, but he has the talent to like really be into any role that you want to put him in. But I mean, sometimes some people are just a face, and Michael B. Jordan is a face, and I don't know. It may sound like I'm disrespecting him in his craft. Like it's just I don't think it's disrespectful, but at the same time, like if we had a list of like the best like 10 young black actors under 40, I mean, is he ranking in 10 in the 10? Like I like almost everyone under
That'd be
40
tough.
and the Woman King, all the actors that we just named under 40, we can fucking and even folks we have like Brian Tyree Henry,
Oh,
um, you
paperboy. Shout out
know,
to my man, Joe.
uh
Amazing
Get
actor.
Out kid, who's the kid in Get Out again? Kiki Palmer,
Yeah. Yeah.
like you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like he's good, he's serviceable, he's a face. Like if you want to like have a draw, like I mean, shit, I don't even know if he's really a draw. Like, I think we're going to Creed because
Daniel
Creed,
Kaluuya.
Dan Kaluuya, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see Creed because he's a good actor or because we're just invested in the Creed franchise and we want to see Jonathan Majors.
Right.
So, so yeah, man. So I talk way too much
No,
as I've
we
experienced.
haven't done this in so long. So, I mean, it's very nice. Um, is Michael B. Jordan a good actor? You made some very good points, and I too, I'm not gonna say he can't act, as you will
Yeah,
say.
like it's. I mean,
That's
he's
more for the joke.
serviceable.
That's for the joke. I know,
Yeah, yeah.
but I think the problem that Michael B. Jordan runs into, and no, he is he's not a good actor for the record. The problem he runs into is the same thing that The Rock and Will Smith have when it goes into their movies. How often have you seen Will Smith or The Rock disappear into their roles where you're not constantly thinking, I'm watching Will Smith in this movie, or I'm watching Dwayne
Well,
Johnson in this movie?
well, Will Smith is a much better actor, though.
Yes, yes.
He's a
I'm not saying
much
that.
better
I'm
actor.
not saying that, but we also know that Will Smith spent most of his career playing his public image of a super nice guy who, like, most of his roles were the exact same roles that he just did over and over. So I mean, he was playing himself, as a lot of people said. And The Rock has, not since his early career, has not taken a risk on a role in forever where he's not. He tried to play a superhero and he's still Dwayne Johnson. He's still Dwayne Johnson. He's not Black Adam. He's Dwayne Johnson. That's why Black Adam did what it did. Like, people's like, I don't. Am I going to go see a new Dwayne Johnson movie? It's about superheroes. No, probably not. I'm not into that. I mean, that's what happens, and I feel like Michael B. Jordan has become, especially with, he's a good looking dude, man. So I really feel like, as far as his facial features and when he flashes a smile and everything like that, I feel like people see him and they see this $1 million face and everything like that. So that's what they see when they see Michael B. Jordan. So roles that I feel like I've actually seen him disappear into, which is not that many. I'm definitely going to say Killmonger for me. From the moment that he went into that museum, it was Killmonger for me. Like, I didn't see him anymore, and like I'm definitely going to say he was elevated by the rest of the cast, but I only saw Killmonger that whole role. That's why I came out such a fan of Killmonger, because of his performance. Now, is that to say that if you put somebody else in the Killmonger role, would that mean that that role wouldn't be as iconic as it's become? And with all the, of course, he had the badass lines, "Throw me into the ocean like my ancestors." Would that mean that their roles wouldn't be, like, if somebody else came in, would that mean that they wouldn't do as well as him? Not necessarily. But in that role, and I don't know how often he method acts, Michael B. Jordan, but he did it, and it kind of screwed him up, took him some dark places, and he had to kind of back his way out of that. But I really feel like that's probably one of the few times he's truly committed to a role outside of that movie you mentioned earlier. What was San Francisco? What was it called?
Last Black Man in San
Last
Francisco.
Outside of Last Black Man in San Francisco, which I have heard good things about. And then when he was on The Wire, of course he was a kid, but of course The Wire was critically acclaimed. It didn't get a lot of attention while it was airing and while his character was alive. But at the same time, a lot of people can't get out of their head about that performance that he had on this critically acclaimed show. He's part of that ensemble cast that's so well known. So he gets a pass largely because of what he did in Last Black Man in San Francisco and The Wire. And in Killmonger, of course, it's an MCU movie. It's the first Oscar-nominated MCU movie. He has this iconic villain role, arguably a top 5 villain ever in the MCU, and then some will even debate that he wasn't the villain, which is something that you haven't seen a lot in the MCU. So he has that going for him. And then when it comes to Creed, all praise Coogler again, man. Because yes, you had a phenomenal performance from Sylvester Stallone. Nobody was talking about Michael B. Jordan at award season. Me and you were talking about Sylvester Stallone. Everybody's talking about Sylvester Stallone. He won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor. He was nominated for the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. His performance as Rocky and essentially what could have been his last performance as Rocky was amazing. It was incredible. Nobody expected him to bring such. Obviously, we knew that he could do it. Rocky was a big deal when it first came out, but it became more about action, punchy. So by the time that we see another Rocky movie, we're like, oh, whatever. Michael B. Jordan's in it. I guess he's Creed's son. That's why I went to go see it. I was like, oh, it's a Rocky movie. There's going to be boxing in it. I love Rocky movies. Michael B. Jordan, that's fine. I'm going to go check it out. And as great as Sylvester Stallone is in it, I see so many different angles from Adonis, Michael B. Jordan in this role that at times he disappears into the role for me as well. Like before Killmonger, because I didn't know it was coming, this was my favorite Michael B. Jordan role. And Fruitvale, I did think it was very good, but at the same time, like you said, if you put another talented black actor in the role of Oscar in that film, Fruitvale still works. But because him and Coogler were tight, it was him. And he got a lot of push from that being a true story, and then Coogler really elevated him. So again, I think Coogler is a big factor into how well he acts as well. So Fruitvale, Black Panther, Creed, you put they're a winning recipe. So there, I feel like in the first Creed film, he showed a lot of depth. He showed a lot of heart. Like even when he the scenes we had with Felicia Rashad, he seemed like he was angry, had a chip on his shoulder about his dad, but at the same time cared about his mom. He showed that he was well raised and everything, but then when he went to the gym for the first time and he hopped in there and he ended up getting his ass kicked after in the second fight, it showed, oh, he can box. Same time, he ain't quite there yet. And shout out to the cinematography and obviously the choreography for the fights. And honestly, I've told you this before, Marc Rob. When I was watching Creed in the theater, when Creed got that first win, man, and the way that was shot, like the 360 view of the ring and everything, I like stood up in the theater. There wasn't that many of us in there, but when he knocked him down, I stood up. I was like I was just in it. I was in it like I never had been before. And then once Rocky got cancer, I feel like Donnie showed he showed anger towards that, but at the same time, he showed that he cared about Rocky, and especially when they went to the training montages with him training for the fight and Rocky fighting against cancer, that was just, it pulled all the right heartstrings. His chemistry with Stallone was phenomenal, and it was completely missing in the second film, which is another reason why the second film for me was disappointing. I was just like it just seemed like Rocky, again, Rocky was talking at him, Sylvester Stallone talking at him, and Adonis was just like reading his lines. Michael B. Jordan was reading his lines. He didn't feel like Adonis to me in the second one. It seemed like he was just there to get a second movie check and, kind of get another good check after Black Panther came out, and that's what it felt like. But the emotions I felt like he was able to display throughout the rest of Creed after Rocky recovers and they travel, of course, for the final fight. I thought, based off that yeah, I feel like he could do something. So outside of his roles from The Wire and the Coogler films, like anything else that he's been in, it's never really moved me like that. So while I do enjoy a Michael B. Jordan flick, I have to agree that he cannot act. I mean, or not that he cannot act, but he's just not a good actor. He doesn't commit, like you said. It does seem like he's reading lines, and I don't know if there will be future roles where he might be able to change that. Maybe the older he gets, the better he gets at it. But I kind of feel like Killmonger and Creed 1 was peak Michael B. Jordan. I think Creed 3 will bounce back a little bit since he's directing it, obviously. And I think he was disappointed not to have Coogler on the second film, and he was just getting a check. But I do feel like it'll be more of a performance closer to what Creed 1 was. But at the same time, I can't say he's a good actor based off that.
Yeah. So I feel so. I feel bad. His name is Jimmy Fails. That's kind of a wild name to be as an actor, um, but nah, man. Like I just,
You
I
sure he
think
didn't change
that
his name?
I mean, but nah, man. I would definitely recommend watching The Last Black Man in San Francisco. So if you, because you'll see even you look at just his mate Jonathan's body in that
Hmm.
movie, like he's not what he is right now. Like he's just a regular. He's like a regular actor like by like a regular dude, but now like because he's in the MCU and he did Creed 3, he's like just
I,
jacked.
I saw
So
my man doing a photo shoot, man. Go ahead, Jonathan Majors.
yeah,
Go ahead with your bad self.
I mean, well, I didn't watch White Boy Rick, but he was in White Boy Rick. He was actually the funny thing is like I think Jonathan Major's career could have been I think in the wrong hands. It could have been a little bit iffy,
Hmm.
um, because he was in like other like really 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 smaller stuff. But the
Right.
thing that really put him over the edge, um, outside of Last Black Man in San Francisco, which he did in 2019, in 2020 is when he did the Five Bloods Spike Lee movie.
Yes.
And so that's the movie that made him like a real household name. And then he had like Harder They Fall after that, and then that's when um like the low key shit happened after that.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, I mean he like Jonathan Majors is like as a star, but it's but
I'm interested to see, especially since Michael B. directed. I know that Jonathan Majors is going to eat regardless, but I wonder. I wonder how much editing will come into it to maybe make him look better than Jonathan Majors. I don't feel like he might do that. He might let Jonathan Majors eat and recognize his limitations, but I wonder if
I mean
we'll
there's like
see.
there's only so much editing you can really do.
Yeah,
Like
especially
so
when you're Michael B. Jordan versus Jonathan Majors. You're absolutely right. Yeah,
I mean cuz it's not like a spoiler, but like I said, like if you watch the
I
trailer
watched the first trailer.
and you've seen Rocky 3,
Yeah, absolutely. I've watched all the Rocky movies.
so I have not seen Creed yet, and I'm fairly certain it's going to go along those lines.
Hmm.
So like, but that's kind of the thing with franchise films, and you keep going, you're kind of drawing from a source that's running out.
Yeah,
So like like the first movie was so great because you had Stallone and Coogler. Like those are the two main reasons like Creed 1 worked. The direction of Coogler plus his ability to write that good story.
I thought Tessa and,
And
and Michael B had some chemistry though too. Bianca
uh,
and Donnie. I thought the first film they did. I thought they had no chemistry in the second one with everything going on with the baby.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I just legit don't even remember the story of the second one. So I can't, I don't even, I know someone was going deaf.
For those of you
I
at
know she was
home,
going deaf.
there is a
I know,
podcast called Hyphenation that I sat there and thought I was only going to do a quick review of Creed, and I spent like 30 minutes talking about how it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I can't remember the number, but if you just want to go Hyphenation, type in Creed, I bet you will get that information because I did the whole synopsis for you. Plug.
so what, so like, I remember I remember the plot to Creed 1. I have no clue what Creed 2 is. I know he was fighting Drago's son.
That's
Tessa
about it.
Thompson was going deaf, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's like, but the thing is like, so they took it out of Kugler's hands.
I don't know if they
And
took it
now
out.
that
I think he didn't want to. I think he didn't want to do the second one personally. As far as I know, maybe he did want to do the second one, but I thought
uh,
he stepped away as
I
director.
mean, well, no, not to say like they stole the
Okay.
movie from
Okay.
him, but
Right.
it's just not in his hands anymore.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, well, the director that we trusted, he's not there. Well, the director and writer that we trust, he's not there. And then the reason that Creed is a thing is because of Sly Stallone. But then now for the Creed 3, like he's not there either.
Yeah, he's bad
So it's
mouthing everything Rocky because apparently he wants his money.
I mean, well, yeah, and if he feels that way, that's what he feels like. Um, but yeah, man, I just don't really um I don't necessarily know uh where his career kind of goes from here. Like, um,
Well, I know I read, of course, I read his most recent interview that came out not that long ago. It was right around the time that he had started directing Creed, and apparently he has a couple deals on the table for first looks and things like that, and he has his own like production company. So he has those opportunities. So he's kind of lined up where he's going to get shots at a lot of things, but I don't necessarily know if that's going to make me feel any better about my opinion that he could be a better actor. It just means more opportunities for him to be in movies and play these roles and possibly make future films based off that.
well, yeah, when I say I don't know where his career kind of goes, I mean just like acting wise. I
Yeah,
mean,
I just wanted to chip that in there.
so yeah, so he's obviously like he's testing directing,
Mhm.
and so it has a favorable rating from people who've watched it. So, I mean, if that's where he wants to go with his career to shift is like a challenge, or with his production company, or if he like wants to like make an anime and then like produce that, then that creative outlet that could probably work for him, especially as like the history
Yeah.
and knowledge of loving anime. But I just think his skill as an acting, I don't think I don't think that that's the reason why you're checking Michael B. Jordan out at this point in his career.
Right.
Um, like I said, I think the apex of his acting will probably end up being Killmonger. Um,
Yeah.
and that's it. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a part of one of the best comic book movies of all time, and
Absolutely.
he's like the antagonist in that. So,
Hmm.
um, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, but and the thing is, like, I think we're having this conversation, but I don't think there are people dying on the hill that he's a good actor, though.
No, no, I don't think so.
So now, if people were dying on that hill, that would then be super strange,
Yes.
to be very frank. But I don't
Yeah.
think people are doing that. So I don't know if this like feels like kicking a guy. I mean, it's not really kicking him while he's down. He just has his name on the Hollywood Walk of Fame or whatever. So
Yeah.
you can't kick someone who's down while they're winning. So, but
Absolutely
this is
not.
just his evaluation, like as an actor. Like it's like John David Washington. Like I don't think John David Washington's that good of an actor. Like, and I mean, you can kind of have like the nepo baby conversation about him, but um, I mean, in Christopher Nolan's movie, he didn't give it a fucking name. Like,
He
like he didn't even get a name in Christopher Nolan's movie,
did not.
um, but it's kind of like, well, if he's not a good actor and he's getting Christopher Nolan films, where are the other talented people that are not getting these roles? But I mean, it's kind of is what it is. Director wants who they want to have for the role. So,
Yeah.
um, but I think Michael B. Jordan and John David Washington are outliers, because I think mostly every other young black actor that we have is exceptionally skilled at acting, and so it's like weird that they're the outliers for that. But like I said, everyone, like mostly everyone that you see in like Black Panther or Wakanda Forever, um, all of them are gifted actors for the very most part.
Hmm.
Um, Dan Kaluuya, but he was barely in the first one, but his body had worked for his whole career. Like he's putting up numbers. Um,
Shout out to Black Mirror, man.
yeah, so that was a great Black Mirror episode with
5 million
him.
merits. Hmm.
So yeah, so it's like some people are faces, some people are actors, and it's rolling the dice of who's going to have a great career or not. Like, I mean, this shit's all a gamble. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so
So
you,
much
you
of a
really
gamble.
don't know. I mean, someone like Jonathan Majors can put out like 4 duds in a row and then his career is over. And then we'll look back and say, wow, he had a nice run. He had some good abs, but then he faded into oblivion. So yeah, so we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, but it's kind of a joy while the ride lasts. So.
Absolutely. So here's your dismount, Mark Rob. How did you feel in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever when Shuri took the new heart-shaped herb, and then she got visited by your boy Killmonger? How did you feel? See, did you see it coming, and how did you feel about it?
um it was kind of spoiled, but
Oh,
let me preface it. Um you can only spoil something if you're I think you can only spoil something if you're looking forward to it.
okay.
And so I was like actively listening for podcasts on Wakanda Forever. Um because I didn't have an interest in seeing it, to be very honest.
Right.
But I legit saw it mostly out of FOMO.
Hmm.
Um
And that was your
and,
last MCU film.
I mean I've said that about like I said that about
You ain't
Far From
gonna,
Home.
bro. I'll tell you right now. You don't need to
So
go see Quantum Mania. Do not go
oh,
see
I'm not
Quantum
saying that
Mania.
shit. I'm not
If
saying that
you're
shit.
interested at some point,
So
turn it on Disney Plus a few months from now, and that's it. It's
no,
fine. It's fine.
I will not have interest in seeing Quantum Mania.
It's fine.
I know that for sure. Um, and the reason and actually I can't even say Wakanda Forever is the last MCU movie I want to watch because Kat has chosen for us to watch the last Guardians movie. So we
Oh,
will
you're
be
you're watching Guardians
so
3.
unfortunately, yes, I'm watching Guardians 3. So and you know how I feel about Guardians 2. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really watching it for the content of the episode. That's it. Um but to answer your original question,
Yeah.
um it wasn't I didn't know he was going to be in it, but I was listening to a podcast and they did talk about how he was in it. And when I saw him in it, and his role in it is only for 5-ish minutes or
Yeah.
whatever.
About 5.
And I think the idea of him being kind of the smart ass and kind of thriving off people's negativity, I think that worked. All of his roles outside of Killmonger are always the protagonist. Um, but for whatever reason, when he's in that role of being the antagonist, he has found something in him that kind of works.
You can cut
So
loose a
his
little
his
bit. Yeah.
so his cameo in it worked, but I will say also, well, I'm talking about the skill of acting.
Yeah.
As an actor, he did a pretty good job for the role that he was given. But I'll be very honest about Wakanda Forever. Outside of the actors grieving Chadwick, I really didn't care for Wakanda Forever. Um,
Right.
I I'm really because I'm so out of the MCU, so out
Desensitized.
on the MCU that setting up the future properties, none of it, none of it, none of it is really appealing. And also, I think the biggest flaw of the movie is you had the villain of the movie, and his whole thing is basically he doesn't fuck with white people. And and if you look at Wakanda, if you look at the original Black Panther and you look at Civil War, Wakandans technically don't fuck with white people either.
Right.
So you have in Wakanda Forever these two groups of people who have
Be against
no
each
real
other.
beef,
Right.
and all of a sudden you have one fascist saying, if you don't help fight my wars, I'm going to kill you. And then another fascist saying, well, okay, we're just gonna fight each other. Like, to me, like, that was the most nonsensical shit ever. And and it was kind of like, well, if you think about, I wrote it in my letterbox, but if you think about like the Wakandans in these two movies, you know, they've almost collapsed due to following bullshit leaders, like bullshit leadership. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all it is. And so it's like this is the second movie in a row where fighting for bullshit under bullshit leadership has almost led you to the brink of destruction. You
And
know,
yeah, here we are.
like yeah, like when Chadwick, well, when T'Challa had it, he fumbled it. Now Shuri has it, she's fumbling it. Like, I don't want to keep seeing these black people get their asses kicked, like needlessly at that. Like,
Right.
it's not like they're fighting it's not like they're fighting, you know, for something grander. They're just out here in Infinity War, Black Panther, and in Wakanda Forever. They're fighting bullshit wars on behalf of other people for the most part.
Yes.
Like Infinity War, like they're fighting for their planet, so they're fighting for half of life. So you can make the argument for that. But the other two movies, it was just kind of like, all right.
Well, I guess they're
Um,
in charge now. Let's do what they say.
yeah, and so if you think about Black Panther 1, and this is a problem with the last phase of Marvel, is is everything is so purposefully leading up to something else that none of it feels natural.
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
you didn't feel that in the first you didn't feel that in the first phases
No.
of these other Marvel movies. So Black Panther, it was not burdened with telling the T'Challa story, and then also we're gonna set up for Wakanda Forever, or we're gonna set up to whatever property after our movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was just they were telling the death of T'Challa's dad, him becoming a leader, him faltering, and him rising up to kind of face his challenge.
Yeah.
It wasn't worried about I need to take 30 minutes to set up a kingdom of other people so we can eventually give them a property on another movie or another TV show that you may or may not care about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so so Coogler, and I feel bad because it's kind of like, well, he kind of has to do that. Like if you're gonna have a Marvel movie, like you have to set up the other future properties. So I think the first half of the movie, which is really literally them just grieving the death of Chadwick, and then the cape, like the idea of the blurred reality of I know these actors are technically mourning a character in the story, but they're not doing that. They're mourning the death of someone who they viewed as a friend and family,
Right.
and they're tapping into something way deeper than what actors should be tapping into. Like, and I think the performances that they all gave in that respect, even though Letitia Wright is a little questionable, I think she did an extraordinary job of tapping into the depth of I'm pulling something deep from me that's incredibly saddening,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just putting it out there on camera.
Right. Which is
And
very
so
hard to do.
and
It's a
so
very raw
for
place to be in.
and so for Angela Bassett, I think she did the exact same thing, but I think her immense talent for decades at this point,
Boosted it.
um, I think in a lot of ways, like she was the leader of them, so they kind of followed her charge in that, and she did an amazing job with it. And I think everything outside of that just didn't work for me at all. Like I mean, they had to set up the new Iron Man and the girl. They had to set up the
Yeah.
shout out to that tweet that was like, what this movie was see Mexicans versus space Africans. Like that, like so
Yeah,
they're
I remember
basically
that one.
setting up not only the new Iron Girl, Iron Heart,
Ironheart,
they're
yeah.
also setting up this new kingdom for these new people, and then also they're setting up Elaine Bennis in the MCU as a villain,
Right.
and then also they're setting up the white guy to do some other shit. Like they just got burdened with so much dumb shit, and to me, it just feels like if you're setting up like an episode of television where you're trying to like you're setting up like different stuff like that, like for a movie, it just I don't find it interesting. And I don't have a problem that other people did. Like other people can think that's a good thing, especially if I think for Marvel fans who, and we even kind of talked about this, like like 2 years ago at this point,
Yeah,
two
years
where
ago.
we kind of when we asked, you know, after they moved away from the original Avengers, is the MCU something that's worth investing in? And I know for a lot of folks, the answer to that is yes. Like a lot of folks love Moon Knight. They love Loki, and the new Loki series is going to happen. They like Miss
She-Hulk.
Marvel, She Hulk. Like those are things that people are finding like real joy in. And for me, like I don't have a problem with that, but I'm not a television watcher. Like I just don't. I didn't expect I would be that anti TV until they just kept pumping out television products.
Hmm.
And so I think I only watched like the first episode and a half of Winter Soldier and Hawk what not Hawk
Falcon and
um
the Winter Soldier.
yeah, Falcon Winter. I watched like the first episode and a half of that. I wasn't interested in that. I watched I did watch all the way through the Maximoff show,
WandaVision.
but then I never watched the movie. So the show set
I
up
will
the
say, Marc
movie.
Rob, that um, for Multiverse of Madness, I think you would low key enjoy Wanda's performance in that film. I think that her performance was what made that film for me. Um, I enjoyed Doctor Strange for whatever Doctor Strange things he was doing, but Wanda really was what did it for me. I know you're not going to rush and watch it right now, but if you ever get that chance, I think you would enjoy Wanda in that film.
All right. So I mean, and the funny, I like the original Doctor Strange, and I thought the TV show was actually fairly decent.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, like I just think that if they committed to if they, I know they like put a pause on. I think they kind of put a pause on everything, and they're trying to reevaluate everything because I think they put out so much product because of the pandemic, and it was so condensed that nothing really felt like an event. It just felt like the next thing.
Right. Like I
Like I
didn't
think
even know Ant Man was coming out until literally like a day before. I was like, oh shit, Ant Man comes out this weekend. Like
yeah. So they went
no
to
anticipation.
yeah they went to, and I think it was because of the pandemic, and they probably would have had better success of staggering products in 2020 and 2021,
Right.
but because everything got
But they
so
couldn't.
condensed, they
Yes.
couldn't, and so they pumped everything out too quickly, and then they kind of ran out of gas. I think if they had like a recommitment to telling singular stories, and then if the stinger happens to sting, then that's okay. But you just can't have you just can't keep your films introducing new property, and then you always have to follow the needle on that. Like sometimes you just want to watch just the movie, and then that's it. Like if I only watch Black Panther, you don't. I mean, if you watch just Black Panther and that's it,
Hmm.
you would leave thinking that 10 out of 10,
Yes.
great.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's like, well, I watched Wakanda Forever, and now you have four different properties in one movie trying to do something else, and it's
Yep.
like it's just way too much. It's just way too much, and I think hopefully they do get a rein on that. Because even like Quantum Mania, I know I never even watched it, but I know it's purposely setting up Jonathan Majors to do more in the Kang Dynasty or whatever they want to call it. I don't know what to
Right.
call it,
It's King Dynasty.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but they're setting it up for more properties anyway. So it's like it's just like the domino effect, but at the same time, like I don't know, man. It's just so exhausting. It just feels so exhausting, and so
I'm gonna let you in a
um,
secret, Mark Rob. I'm kind of feeling the same way, and it makes me sad because I've been hanging in there for a while.
I mean, so how many of the TV shows have you watched?
I've watched everyone other than finishing Moon Knight and Miss Marvel. I've seen all the TV shows.
And have you seen all the movies?
Yes, I've seen all the movies, including Eternals. But I was high and I was in the movie theater. I went to Alamo and I was eating food and I was like, "Damn, I don't know if I like this movie." But I was also not in the right state of mind. So by the time I got sober, I was like, "That wasn't very good at all," and I've never revisited it.
So I'm more interested in your thoughts because we were at one point we were definitely both equally invested, but
Hmm.
we definitely hit the divergence.
Well,
So
I was going to save this for hyphenation at some point, but I might as well practice my takes now. Um, and Quantum Mania was just fine. Like coming, the last film was Wakanda Forever, and I did enjoy that one. I enjoyed Multiverse of Madness. Um, Usually MCU movie other than Eternals. Even Black Widow, I liked them. I liked them. I found good things about them, and I was like, yeah, I could totally see myself sitting down and rewatch it at some point. Ant-Man 3, man, like it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the Wasp is barely in it. Hope is barely in it.
yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
They put Bill Murray in it, who of course is now getting accused of doing dirt to women, which is not cool. He was. I don't know if they lessened his role. He was probably in the movie for about 15 minutes, but and I've been the biggest Bill Murray fan since Ghostbusters, man, and I just couldn't stand to watch him on the screen at all. I just was not feeling it whatsoever.
yeah,
Um, Ant-Man was fine. Like, I mean, there was no character development for him. Like Cassie was questioning him about what do you do next. He's like, I saved the world. I don't have to do anything next. And he wrote a book and all this stuff. Him and the new Cassie had good father daughter chemistry, and Michael Douglas is in there, and I kind of felt like he was just in it to be in it. Jonathan Majors did what he could with what screen time he was given. Honestly, he was the main villain, but at the same time he was not. They didn't want to make him too powerful because obviously they're waiting to bring him back for the Avengers film a couple years down the line, and he's going to be in the Loki TV show, which they alluded to at the end of the credits and everything like that. Janet, shout out Michelle Pfeiffer, love you. Janet was really good in this film. She carried a lot of the weight because she was in the quantum realm, which we knew she disappeared in the quantum realm. Then we got her back from the quantum realm in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And in this film, they went back, and then there's all these secrets she didn't choose to tell anybody. So the thing that killed me with this film, and I do like it. It is a good film. It's good. That's it. GOOD, all lowercase. It's good. The thing that bothered me was there's a couple opportunities in this film for there to be real stakes, something really serious to shake up, like really shake the status quo. Be like, you come out there like, oh shit, I can't believe they actually did that. And they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They had two opportunities. Spoilers for anybody listening, but I felt like, if you kill Hank Pym, that's a big deal. Go ahead and write him off the franchise. If Hank doesn't make it out of the franchise alive, and Kang violently kills Hank, that's a big deal. That immediately gets Scott pissed off, and Hope. That's her dad. They have this grudge against Kang. They have a blood vendetta. You can build off of that. That's something that you can go a bunch of ways. Like you could have Hope or Scott even going to I don't know, taking a harder edge and stuff, and changing who they are and who we've known them as to become these different people because they're so hell-bent on getting revenge on Kang for killing Hank. Like I said, Hope's dad and Scott's benefactor. That would have been a great opportunity. He was just around for jokes, and he put his arms in these little tube things to fly the ship in the quantum realm, and that was supposed to be funny. And the other part was there's a great battle at the end of the movie, and Scott sacrifices himself to make sure Cassie goes back through the portal to get out of the quantum realm. He's left there with Kang. him and Kang have this knockout, drag out fight, and I was like, Scott's gotta die. Scott's gotta die. Kill Scott. Kill Scott. Kill Scott. Spoilers. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I get that this is the film you chose to introduce him in, and you want him to have a bigger role later. Have Kang do something that's really going to leave people leaving the theater like, oh crap! Like I just saw some shit. Where's the MCU going to go from here? And they didn't do it. And they had one last chance to do it, Marc Rob, and both Hope and Scott are stuck in the quantum realm. There's no portal. They defeated Kang, but they're stuck in the quantum realm. It's like, okay, so if they're stuck in the quantum realm with no way to get them out, then you've taken away two main characters from Cassie. You can develop Cassie in her role and kind of start developing her to become the new Ant-Man in the MCU, while Scott and Hope are in the quantum realm trying to figure things out for a while. Again, another opportunity to eliminate characters and build new ones and tell new stories. Not even 3 minutes after Hope and Scott both got stuck in the quantum realm, a portal opened up and Cassie brought them home, and that was it. It's like, y'all missed 3 big opportunities to do something that would really send people home like, wow, the MCU still got it. Because honestly, there hasn't been a ton of moments in the MCU films where, other than Infinity War, where something happens to a protagonist or major death happens, and it's like, that's how the movie ends. It's always like they find a way to put a bow on it and make it a happy ending. I felt like this movie needed more gravitas in order for it to be the first film of Phase 5. And it wasn't. It was just good. It was a fun ride. It'd be a cool movie to throw on while I'm doing stuff around the house. But it just didn't click all the buttons I needed it to. And that was really disappointing. After and Shang-Chi and Black Panther Forever are probably my favorite films that came out of Phase 4, and this was not the step in the right direction. So I'm going to go see Guardians. I will go see I can't think of the name of it, but the Miss Marvel movie, Captain Marvel movie that's coming out in November now. They pushed it back. Marvels, maybe it's called. I'm not sure.
I think it's is it like, it's not like Marvels or whatever, right? It's
no.
Like, but no, it's gonna be Captain Marvel. It's gonna be
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel. It's gonna be Monica.
Yes,
Monica
Rambeau,
right?
Monica Rambeau. Yeah. So I'm gonna go see that, and I'm not excited about Guardians 3. Guardians 2, while it had a good plot, I feel like I said this on something not too long ago. I felt like that they figured out they were funny and in the first one, and they're like, let's do more of that. And then that's why I didn't connect as well with me the second one. I didn't watch the Christmas special, the holiday special with Drax. I have not watched that. And honestly, like, I kind of can't stand watching Chris Pratt now because I know he's a piece of shit. So going to see a movie starring Star-Lord is not right up my alley, but I'll go see Guardians 3 because it's the last gun film in the franchise, and he's leaving, and Batista's leaving, and everything. I want to see how they put a bow on that, and I'm hoping that from the trailer it looks like everybody's gonna get fucked up. So I'm hoping that they have some serious stakes that come out of that, because even in regular storytelling, Marc Rob, if you're sitting down and write a story, there has to be stakes. You can't just have things kind of happen and then they figure it out, and things kind of happen and they figure out. There's got to be major things that's happening to move your story along. And the MCU's just treading water right now, and that's why I'm kind of feeling the same, not on the same way as you, where you just don't care anymore, but I'm just feeling that disappointment that I've never felt with the franchise, and I knew this day would come. But, you know, it's sad when you feel like it's starting to arrive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, man. I think if you look at the first, so was Far From Home technically the Was that technically the last Phase 3 movie or the first Phase 4 movie?
That would have been first Phase 4, I believe, because Black
Um,
Widow. Technically, Black Widow, I guess, would have been the first Phase 4 film, but it was a flashback movie. But I would say Far From Home would have been the first one. Yes.
all right, so
Well,
um,
did Shang-Chi come out before Far From Home or No Way Home?
then it
Uh,
came out. They came out before. Yeah, it came
okay.
out before.
Yeah. Let me
Um,
see.
s- let's see. Um,
Phase 4, Marvel.
so Phase 4 technically starts with Black Widow, then
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi,
Okay.
then Eternals, then No Way Home.
Okay.
We kept saying Far From Home, but yeah, No Way Home.
I mean, that's what you get when you name your movies. All three of them at home. Other than
And Home literally, I didn't think about this since like last week. Home means nothing. Like Spider-Man Homecoming, there's
well, there
was a
is a
homecoming
homecoming
dance.
dance. Yes.
That's it. You named a whole movie after a dance that he doesn't go to. I swear to God, I didn't think about that until last fucking week. Like the home means nothing in these fucking in those titles.
Yeah.
God bless it, but come on, man, it's
Yeah.
just so
Far
silly.
From Home, of course,
Well,
they were in Europe, and No Way Home was that the villains and the Peters had no way home until Peter one figured out how to send everybody home. Man.
yeah, man. So so I know Phase 1 there was no clue how big the shit was going to get.
Absolutely not.
Like it was no way to it was no way to forecast the gargantuanness of this um Phase 2, which a lot of people like. A lot of people don't like Iron Man 3. A lot of people don't like
We
Dark
like Iron
World.
Man 3. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
I like Dark World. You like Dark World too, I think, too, don't you?
I like Dark World more
You like Dark
than
World more than um third one. What's the third one called?
some shit.
Some shit. Oh, and
Ragnarok,
Love and Thunder was a
Ragnarok, yeah.
fucking mess. It was a mess. I somehow got again like they made Thor this. I ain't trying to rant on it, man. I'm not trying to. I'm saving it for the pod. I really am,
All
because
right.
I am.
But so
Gonna
okay,
talk
maybe
about it.
this is just a dismount. So follow
Yeah.
me for the dismount. So Phase 1, we had no clue where any of this was going to lead to. And to be honest, did they know where all this will lead to? Likely no.
No.
Phase 2, it began as a mixed bag, but then you got Winter Soldier, then you got Guardians, then you got Ultron, then you got Ant-Man, which was a sleeper at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Phase 3, this even though I hated Galaxy 2, just listen to this run: Civil War,
Mm,
Doctor Strange,
mm.
Galaxy 2, Homecoming. And then people love Ragnarok. I hate it. People love it, but there's Ragnarok. Then you got OG Black Panther. Then you got Infinity War.
Mm.
Then you got Ant-Man and Wasp, which was a sleeper again.
Mm-hmm.
Then Captain Marvel, which girl power. Then we got Endgame, and then we got Far From Home, which is a bit mid. It's a little bit mid. I can say
It's
that.
grown on me more from the initial viewings. Again, I think it was the hangover from Endgame, but I do
But,
enjoy the trilogy.
and so Phase 4 is just a lot of stumbles. A lot of stumbles in the mid. Black Panther, no, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, which I think is solid.
Yeah.
Eternals, which no one really liked. No Way Home, which I think was solid. Multiverse of Madness,
No Way
which
Home
people
was
said was
great. No
solid.
Way Home wasn't great because of it being an MCU movie, though. It was a great Spider-Man film, just out and out Spider-Man film because it was a love letter to the first three. That's
And so
well, the
is this
first
is
three
this
and the
the
second two.
is that the last MCU movie that was not concerned about franchise movies? Because
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it was literally a Peter Parker movie. His
It
Spider-Man
was so Peter
movie.
Parker. They needed three of them motherfuckers.
So
Yeah,
and when you think about like it's not where even Shang-Chi, if you think about it, even though they're going to like get him in the mix to be an Avenger eventually, they weren't really setting up extra shit in that.
that's why it worked because it was character focused. Like
Yeah.
you started the whole conversation about everything has to have building blocks now, but No Way Home didn't have it. Shang-Chi didn't have it. The first half of Black Panther didn't have it, and it worked incredibly well. Multiverse of Madness, like the actual the Doctor Strange versus the actual villain. You know who the villain is in Multiverse, right? No
Her?
spoilers. It's Wanda, yeah. So
Yeah.
Wanda turning heel and becoming the bad guy.
I know where her fate is.
Yeah,
So
her fate. She ain't. Yeah, whatever. That was what made the movie. That heel turn, and then her battling Doctor Strange, and then her taking out Professor X and Reed Richards and from the other multiverses and stuff like that. That stuff was all terrifying and super dope because Raimi got to put his horror edge on it. So when it's character driven stuff, it works incredibly well still. But when it's stuff like this, where it's like, all right, guys, we got to get Kang in the movies. Where we're going to put him? It was cool to see him at the end of Loki. Where should we start him? Yeah, you in the back. Ant-Man and Wasp 2. Ant-Man and Wasp 2. Yeah, we can have him start in the Quantum Realm. Ooh, the Quantum Realm. That would be a great idea. I'm
yeah.
ranting. I'm ranting.
You know the thing I think they actually should do?
What's that?
I think they should eliminate telling us future projects. I think they
Yes.
should I think they should flat out just not announce future projects
The
anymore.
announcements are, yeah, yeah. Like I agree, and I feel like they didn't start doing that until like what after Phase 2. They really were like, okay, these are the next movies that's coming out, and then it was
Yeah.
cool because they had this nice build going, and they had successfully flew the plane so far, so everybody wanted to see how it was going to land, but. I would not be mad if they stopped because like just give me your releases for the year. It was like, okay, this is going to come out this year, or like it's like, oh, it's 2024. We have this, this, and this, and we're going to do this TV show. That's what you're going to get. That's all I need to know. Don't tell me what I'm going to see in 2027, please.
Because they literally have told us the release dates of Phase 6 movies when Phase 5 only has one movie.
One movie.
And it sucked. So it just doesn't make sense of you obviously know that you're resetting from the original Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a new saga,
Yep.
but nothing has been established. So why publicly commit to something that you don't know actually is working? I mean, they're doing it for the money because they know these movies will generate money and that's all they care about. Then okay.
I've heard more
And I
buzz
think
about Cocaine Bear than Quantumania.
because Cocaine Bear was actually entertaining. Like, Cocaine Bear, it gave you what the trailer said it was going to give you. It gave you a cocaine bear. It didn't give you the cocaine addict animal kingdom universe. It gave you Cocaine Bear. Like it gave you O'Shea Jackson Jr. It gave you shit. You know, it gave you Ray Liotta, RP to the God. Like,
R.I.P. to the
you know,
God.
it's not trying to set up, you know, and the funny thing is, even with the success, if you see Cocaine Bear 2, The Rise of the Coke Bears, I wouldn't be surprised of that. But at the same time, it's not beholden
Shout
to
out to
that.
Elizabeth Banks, man. She directed that film,
So
man. That's awesome. Been a fan
so
since Scrubs.
so yeah, man. So I just think that I think if they are revisiting everything, then don't. I think they should literally like, even if they keep the schedule, just say, you know what, we kind of we recognize that we've given you too many TV shows all at once, or we're giving you a high number of TV shows. We want to have everything, you know, catch up to itself, regroup. We're going to take
Let you
these
go back and
movies.
actually rewatch some of the other stuff that's come out that you may have enjoyed, but there was a movie coming out another month later or a TV show.
Yeah, because even if they said so everything in 2023, the schedule for this year will remain the same, but beyond this, we're gonna scrap the dates. We're gonna let the movies this year speak for themselves, and then throughout the year, we'll revisit the properties, we'll revisit the movies, and then internally we'll develop a schedule, and then we'll communicate the year's schedule to you, because it makes no sense telling us that Secret Wars is coming out May in 2026 when May of 2026.
Yeah.
They told us it's a 2026 movie when we don't even know if movie theaters will be alive in 2026.
Good
You know,
point.
it's just
A lot of assuming.
it's just a real weird strange boxes they put themselves into. Like they this is the definition of working yourself into a shoot.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
like
it
this
is.
is all of their doing. Um So I think they really do need to just slow everything down and just really kind of figure out like, well, how do we make this event worthy again?
Yeah.
Like the original Black Panther was an event. Like,
Yeah.
you know, even we both really feel kind of whatever about Ragnarok, but there was at least an energy around Ragnarok
Mm-hmm.
that, and when it came out and the people who really liked it, you were hearing people talk about liking Ragnarok. You know, it's just, we just don't even feel like Ant-Man, like in Ant-Man and the Wasp, where that was a word of mouth movie. Like there were movies I didn't watch, but I heard rumblings that people liked it, and then
Yeah, I mean, I
that made
told
me
you to
want to
go watch
watch
Ant
it.
Man when we first started talking about MCU on the pod. I was like, "Yeah, you should watch Ant Man, man. It's actually pretty good." I said pretty
Yeah,
good. I didn't
so
just say it's good. It's cool. I
yeah,
said
and
I gave it a hearty endorsement.
I just don't think we're just not in that era anymore. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like we're gonna put out this slate, and you have to keep up to watch everything. And it's just not. I think in the fun, like something like Incredible Hulk, well, the TV show She-Hulk, um, you know, I kind of wish that wasn't pancaked in between other shit. Like
Yeah,
it's the first. I mean, even though like Scarlet Witch had her series, like I think that could have been a series that kind of governed its own steam, but
right.
it was thrown in the midst of Moon Knight, and then the Marvel Girl show,
Miss Marvel. Mm-hmm.
Miss Marvel. I was gonna say She Marvel,
She
but
Marvel.
but yeah, man, it's so many fucking names to remember. I'm old, man. I can't keep remember these fucking names, man.
I feel you.
But
That's
nah,
why it's
man,
called Podcasting 101, my friend.
they just got to figure out a way to make this shit like exciting again, man. Like
Yeah.
they have to figure a way to, and like for me, like I said, like I don't have excitement over these movies, but I still through the zeitgeist, like I still kind of am in the mix on everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I haven't watched a single of She-Hulk. I haven't watched Moon Knight, but I at least follow people who cover that stuff.
Right.
Um, and so I like know through osmosis, like kind of the at least the raw points of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was something that it wasn't like, if it was interesting movies, if we got like a if She-Hulk was a movie on its own that was interesting and people were talking about it, I may have, wanted to check it out with Kat for an episode.
Right.
Um, so, but it was like what it was like, wasn't there like 7 TV shows in a 2 year time span or some shit like that?
Yeah.
Or wasn't it like 7
That
Marvel
sound
properties in one
that sounds
year?
right. So WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Miss Marvel, Loki, She Hulk, Moon Knight, Hawkeye. So that's 7. and then What If 8, and then they had their behind the scenes show, so that's 9. Yeah, there's been quite a few, quite a
Yeah.
few.
So yeah, man. So this is what this is what came out in, hold on. I'm trying to get to it, man. Because it's a little kind of egregious, man. Because they had 3 movies come out last year,
hmm
but I think they had like 4 TV shows last year.
Yeah, it was Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, um, She
She-Hulk.
Hulk, and what was the other one? I may or may not have just listed it.
I guess it's technically only 3 last year. So 2022 it was Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and She-Hulk.
Okay,
But they also in 2022 Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, and Wakanda Forever.
they dropped 7 things altogether, movies and TV.
Yeah, and 2021 it was it was Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home, and then on the TV end, Falcon.
hmm
Actually, on the TV end, WandaVision,
Yeah.
Falcon,
hmm
Loki,
Yep.
What If,
hmm
and Hawkeye. So they dropped 5 TV products in 2021 on top of the 4 movies they dropped. That's just way too
That's
much.
way too much.
It's way too
Didn't give
much.
them time to miss them.
Like way too much, man. So yeah, man, they really have to slow all this shit down, man, for real.
I think that's what's best. They need to slow shit down and stop announcing stuff way ahead of time, like you said, and like just really let people just focus. I heard that they even took. I'm sure you heard it too. They pulled visual effects resources from Ant-Man for Wakanda Forever, and so a lot of people were saying they thought some of the CGI was funky on Quantumania because they literally pulled people from working on Ant-Man to finish on Wakanda Forever, and they never let them go back to work on Ant-Man.
I mean, we're kind of in the midst of, I think, visual effects artists wanting to unionize,
Okay,
which I'm definitely pro.
absolutely.
Not only this, but just like not only Marvel shit, but all these visual effects folks are getting overrun. And that is a result of the pandemic. That is a result of, again, the kind of the staggered effect of, if we would not have had the pandemic, would we've gotten 9 Marvel properties in 2021? Likely no, but at the same time, like, this is the reality that we have now.
hmm
So, eventually all of that shit is going to log jam, and it has log jam. Like, we're now feeling it, and so, you know, um, pulling pulling that team to work on Wakanda Forever, and then leaving something incomplete, like, that's not really surprising. They don't move like, and a part of the reason why they don't move stuff back, and the reason that they make these announcements, are for shareholders and are for investors, so you can at least forecast potential earnings for these products.
Right. Everything comes down to
Um,
capitalism.
so even though we talked about it would be the best thing for them to do, like, it's just kind of not a reality that they want to actually face. But it's kind of the straining of resources, um, for the like visual effect team. Like, it's not really surprising. Like, the funny thing is, if anything, that should prompt more film and television to go away from that. But you cannot have a Marvel movie, a superhero movie, without CGI. Like this isn't Hawkeye. Like,
Right.
like, I heard that for Quantum Mania, like, the first, I guess, like 10 minutes are in like the quote unquote real world, and then you're in the quantum realm for like 2.5 hours after that, basically.
Yes. Yep.
So so you're literally in a bit like a maybe a 2 hour, 10 minute situation to where from 80 to 90%, 80 to 100% in some cases of what the person is seeing is going to be a visual effect or manipulated by visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one movie. This it's not counting what's the other properties in Marvel. It's not counting the properties in DC movies, DC TV shows, just other random, movies and television. Like all this shit's going to log jam. It has log jam.
Right.
So, you know, I read like I said, I read like I think it was this week or last week that visual effects artists are thinking about unionizing to protect their rights. And they definitely should,
Yeah.
because the overwork and underpay, like,
Never a good
that
combo.
that is the worst combination for the working class. So
Absolutely, man.
so yeah, man. If they do unionize and they even strike until they get a union formed, I would be definitely for that. And if it means some movies getting delayed coming out, then that's what it means, man.
That is what it
But
is.
you got to protect these people's rights, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So if you want to put that on just a hyphenation episode, that's fine.
I say we can do hyphenation, or I give it to you, and you can use it for. We should do this again sometime. Whatever you want to do. Like, you mean the MCU side? You keep the Creed side, the Michael B. Jordan
Actually,
side?
no. I think if you want to keep it all, I'm more than fine with that.
Okay.